California leads the nation in taxes, gas prices, housing costs, and business flight. Families and job creators are leaving in droves. What policy prescriptions would you pursue to make California affordable and attractive again for the working families?
One of the first things we need to do is we do have a spending problem in California. We're going to work on that. We're going to try and get all the taxes, all the fees, all those surcharges that have been slapped onto us down by 50%. But we also have to control spending in equal amount. You can't just promise the reduction of taxes, because what does that do when a tax is removed from the table? It allows the government to fee you to death. Do you have a say in that? No, you don't. I can surge charge you to death. Do you have a say in that process? No, you don't. Pulling taxes and pulling revenue without touching spending is going to be very detrimental, because now you are open for me as the government entity to do what I want without a vote. Fees, surcharges will be endless. We have to change the regulation. We have to make sure that those things are not as easily impressed upon us as they are right now. We have to be able to have the 2/3 majority to pass a tax increase, not the nonsensical 50 plus 1% that the Democrats are trying to push through the legislature at the moment. We have to make sure that we are not wasteful in spending, which means if we have people that are incompetent and losing money, we don't promote them to the next higher position. We get them investigated. If there are charges that need to be filed, they will be. And the bottom line for that is we're not going to talk about perp walking. We're going to actually start to see it and put some of them in the jail where they belong. If you lost $5 million, oh, you bet something went wrong. You're going to be held responsible, not just accountable. Woo!
So on day one, probably the most important thing we can do for the citizens of California is suspend all the gas taxes. What that would do is put downward pressure on all the goods that we buy at the store. When we do this, all of a sudden, right now gas is totally crazy, but we're paying, a conservative figure is just about $20 billion is collected in gas taxes every year. Just going on conservative numbers, where does that $20 billion go? We need a full accounting of where that's going. The second thing, to make sure we don't need that money, we're going to blanket on the NGOs, yes, to fund the NGOs. And the third thing is we need to work to get that corporate tax down around 4%. Once we do that, and with a stroke of a pen, get rid of the regulations that have been hamstringing the oil companies, Valero will come back. That will bring more refining of the gas, and then the gas prices may stay lower. But this is a work in progress. Everything's going to be. What do? We're not going to be married to anything. We're going to try it. If it isn't working, we've got to find something else, or we've got to adjust it. That is the way that you actually lead things through business and whatever, just like government. You need to be flexible, but you need to be attentive to what your goals are.
Again, my father was born in North Korea. He lived in communism and was with the United States soldiers. I rescued him. I wouldn't be here. I feel we're in a one-party, atheistic, Marxist state. It's an ideological situation here. It is a spiritual battle here. Because we could talk about all the policies. For example, I want to open up oil production again. We have so much natural gas and crude oil that it will produce lower taxes. We pay the highest gas taxes, highest energy prices. We are importing almost 70% of our petroleum from Saudi Arabia, from Kuwait and Brazil, of all the places, all these unstable places. And when we have the production here that we can produce, we can have the energy, the finances to make things affordable. The other thing, we're only using 6% of our land. I want to allocate, again, this is why we have to fight CEQA, because I want to allocate land to be developed with all the infrastructure that it takes to build homes, because the median home in Los Angeles is $950,000. It's outrageous. You have to be a millionaire to buy a house if you're a young person. And so we have to have at least 500,000 homes built every single year. My goal is to have 1 million, to lower the prices, to make it more affordable. And the last thing I want to say is that we're the most over-regulated state. I did some research. We have 400,000 regulations. The next closest state is New York with 100,000, 4 times more than New York. And we're causing these corporations, these businesses, Chevron is the last one, but it's Oracle, it's Tesla, all the businesses that have left. And they're the ones who are paying tax money. They're the ones employing so many people. And that's why we need to bring back and bring down the regulations, bring sanity back, lower the taxes, and make it affordable again for young people.
So I'm not going to say my friend's name here. I'm just going to say how much I agree with him. Very, very well put. Look, the people who are really suffering the most at the hands of this appalling Democrat regime for all these years is working class Californians who are paying the cost of these ridiculous policies. I understand that very well. My parents are Hungarian. They fled communism in Hungary. I grew up in a working class family in England. My stepfather worked construction. My first job was project manager for a construction company. Most of my career has been in business. I started companies back in England. I've run restaurants. I know what it's like to run a small business. It is impossible these days in California to make it work for families, to find the money, to keep the show on the road, for businesses to operate. So we've got to do all the things that have been said. And my plan is very simple: to make our state Cali-affordable. Number one, reopen California oil and gas production, so instead of $5, $6, $7, $8 gas, we have $3 gas in California. We've got to end the insane windmills and the solar panels and all this nonsense and generate affordable, reliable energy in California to cut electric bills in half. We're going to end the bloat and the waste in government, so we cut taxes. We're going to end the war on single-family homes so we can restore the California dream of a home you can afford to buy. And we are going to end free health care for illegal immigrants so we can lower health care costs for California.
Okay, so what I want to say is we need to stop our people, our friends, and our businesses from leaving California. So the very first thing that we need to do is create jobs. How are we going to create jobs? We're going to bring revenue. We're going to bring jobs back into California. So my goal is by bringing revenues back into California, by creating jobs, by investing in our infrastructure, we're going to lower the cost of utilities, the cost of water, the cost of food, and consequently the cost of housing. You see, everything is related. Right now, all of these regulations, the reason that building housing is so expensive is because this regulation says you have to have a proof to have a source of water. Right now, you cannot provide that source of water because we don't have sufficient water. So we need to invest in our infrastructure. And that's what is going to make a difference. We're going to bring jobs back into California, which will allow us to bring our taxes down, our utilities, our gas, our water, etc.
The bureaucratic bloat is what is holding us back from being our own independent wealth creators. So many people want to start a business. I've been in restaurants, I've been in big business, I've been in startups. When you have barriers to entry that are financially impossible to overcome to be able to establish a business that's functional in a meaningful amount of time, you cannot succeed. That's why most people say most restaurants fail within the first year. When it takes you months to go through the process, to get the permitting, to get approved, to get into that place. And then by the time you're ready to open up shop, you're 9 months into the project, with 3 months left of capital left to go. It doesn't work. You want to get a permit to do something, whether it's building a pool, addition to your home, a liquor license, starting a business, whatever, we need to have a website that works, that's functional with an integrated LLM, an AI like a Grok or a ChatGPT or something like that, where you can just go to the site and say, I want to do this, and it pulls up the information that you need, and it walks you through how to get approved on it. And then you can submit it online instantly and get a result saying, you're approved, the inspector will be at this address at this date and time, here you go. This is how we get the economy rolling here in California, giving people your power to become your own independent business creator. When we have that going, people can also have their taxes cut because we're going to have more revenue coming in from more businesses. But with the additional revenue streams that we create, allowing us to lower the taxes, keeping more money in your pocket, that is what's going to help take the burden off living here in California.
Question 5, how would you strengthen or reform our criminal justice system to address the consequences of Proposition 47, restore public safety, and hold criminals accountable?
It's not too hard to answer. You gotta just enforce the laws. That would be a great thing. It seems like enforcing laws has become kind of a racist thing for some reason. And it seems that we have decided that victims are sometimes culpable in the whatever happened in the incident. And that is something we need to not defund the police, because I know that was a popular thing in a couple of years ago. But a lot of these municipal police departments, they're getting their municipal taxes, and they also get funding from the state. They need to enforce the laws. That whole thing would be pretty much predicated on having a good attorney general in California that is willing to actually go after these criminals and prosecute them. And each one of the county district attorneys need to actually start doing their job. Now, it's going to be tough because some of these, they may be blue cities, and they don't want to do that. And it's really hard to do a mandate other than a very strong suggestion from the state, but it's still, they're doing what they think they can win. So I think enforcing the laws is a wonderful place to start.
Amen.
For those who know about Proposition 37 was passed 11 years ago to make a felony a misdemeanor, and we've had skyrocketing crime, homelessness, drug pushers on the streets of Los Angeles causing more problems. Now, in 2024, we passed Proposition 36 by 70% of the voters in California. They're tired of the crime. They want safe cities again. They want safe neighborhoods. And they want, I am going to enforce Prop 36. I'm going to start arresting these felons, because it's now a felony, and putting them in jail. It's an ideological thing, because Nixon fought Prop 36. And once it became law, he's only put $100 million for 483 cities. I mean, we're talking about each 58 counties that needs $100 million. We've defunded the police. It's an ideological situation. He's supposed to have more penitentiaries, and he thinks he's being compassionate. But this nation is built on law and order. And I can, as governor, there's a lot of things I can't change without having the legislator be on my side. And that's why we need to really pray for revival. But the things I can change and mandate on day one is Prop 36. And one of the things I'm going to do is that, again, I want to give a compassionate alternative for these drug pushers. If they will rehab, if they will give up the crime, then they can stay. But if not, I'm going to put them back in jail where they belong. So that's my commitment.
I agree with everything that's been said. I'm not going to repeat that. Here's what else I will do as governor. I will reverse one of the most damaging and destructive policies we've seen in the last decades plus, started with Jerry Brown, continued by Gavin Newsom, that is largely responsible for some of the explosion in crime we've seen. That is the closure of state prisons. The prison closure program has meant that tens of thousands of dangerous, violent criminals have been released into the community or moved or transferred to county jails. So the county jails are totally overcrowded, which means that at the local level, judges and DA and prosecutors know that the jails are full. So there isn't any proper accountability for when people commit a crime, because they know the jails are full. What does that mean? You've got you've got catch and release happening at the local level. That totally undermines the morale of law enforcement when they know that even if they go out of their way, they put themselves in harm's way to arrest these dangerous criminals and nothing's going to happen to them. We've got to stop this because the whole confidence in the system is undermined. So, very clearly, I will stop the prison closure program. I will reverse it. I will increase prison capacity, more prisons, less crime. That is how we fight back. And then the point about the Attorney General, exactly right. That's why I'm proud to have my running mate for Attorney General, Michael Gates, who will be with me side by side. The three attorneys forming the Hilton Beach. Together, we will stand strong and fight crime in California.
I really like what my friend here said about the prisons. I really like that idea. We really need to to open more prisons and hold people accountable. And the reason that I say that is because we really need to hold not only the government accountable, but enforce our laws. So the very first thing that I will do is, one, enforce our laws. Two, hold the judges accountable for their actions and their penalty. Three, make sure that the sentencing is appropriate, especially for those individuals that repeat crimes. But something that is extremely important and we haven't talked about is the fact that having open borders in California is a problem. It's a problem because we have individuals who come into our state that have not been vetted properly. Individuals that come and undermine our democracy. Or individuals that come and do human trafficking and drugs. We need to make sure that we have that under control. So that's one of the first things that we will work on it.
Well, we passed 36 overwhelmingly in response to 47, and it hasn't been getting funded. So we have to make sure that the funding is there to be able to enforce the laws on the books. But we have to make sure that our police are protected when they're enforcing the law. And we need to make sure that repeat offenders stay in prison, and those who have mental illnesses get actual treatment. We need to have a prison reform situation where if you're a drug dealer, you go to jail. If you're a drug user, you go to rehab. These are the kinds of things we can do to actually free up room in our jails. And we can also, obviously, we have to make sure we have housing for jails for the folks that need to be in there. Having an economy that is strong will prevent people from needing to resort to crime. When we focus on the economical things that cause people to commit these, I guess, petty thefts or grand thefts, whatever they are classified as now, when they don't have to steal because they have a job, when they don't have to steal because they have income, that is the goal. That's how we're really going to put a dampen on this kind of theft and this kind of criminality. Obviously, there's a lot of other types of crime out there that's horrible to see. There's white-collar crimes that you'll never hear about. Those kind of crimes need to be enforced. People taking advantage of the elderly. Those are crimes that need to be enforced. But we have to have the talented law enforcement that are trained to go after these types of criminals to be able to get them off the streets. We need to make sure that our sheriffs are held accountable when it comes to getting those criminals off the street, and make sure that they are upholding the Constitution. I'll make sure they're held accountable.
Day one, sanctuary status in this state will end. Period. For those of you that have forgotten, over 3.5 weeks ago, the Department of Homeland Security demanded 33,000 illegals that are languishing in our jail. People that are here illegally be turned over to ICE. Why haven't they been gone? Why aren't they gone? We have a sheriff that doesn't want to comply with that request. When I'm the governor of this state, we're going to start honoring those requests and get those people out of here. If you supported them while they're in jail, you're going to go with them. Everybody here, I've described this many, many times before when I used to call in often to the KFBK radio show. There is going to come a time and a place and a date where each and every one of you are a criminal. Everybody on this stage is a criminal. You will all be considered criminals. And how is that? Because you have the privilege of being born here. Criminals have more right than you do. I want your stuff. Give it to me or else. And if you fight back, I get to sue you because you damaged me or you hurt me or you killed me, so now my wife can sue you too. That will end here as well. If you feel the law, you don't start penalty forward. You don't have rights in the state. AB 1333 is one of the programs we're going to instill to help you defend yourself, your property, your business, and if Johnny got shot, too bad for Johnny, but he doesn't get to sue you. If Johnny's family wants to sue you, it will not happen because you have rights as well, and we're going to start exercising our rights in the state.
So this is the lightning round, and the question is one-word response to the following question. Should the state government workforce be reduced? Candidate order is Hilton, Solorzano, Zaki, Naranjo. Or you just want to do it this way? Okay, so it's a one-word response to the following question. Should the state government workforce be reduced? Workforce.
Yes, I'm for small government.
Massively.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yes, it will be.
Yes, I would.
Okay. Another question. California regularly faces drought, yet still struggles to build major water storage and conveyance systems, despite bond measures in previous years to support this. Why has the state failed to construct water infrastructure, and what would you do to address this differently?
Okay, so this is in my house. This is what I do. This is what I love. When I was working for Southern California Edison, one of the things that we did is we put one of the first desalination plants back in Catalina Island. So we have done it. I have done it all. Orange County has one of the greatest water recycling and filtering system. So we recycle water, and I would love to see that throughout the rest of the state of California. It is sad, and I think the reason that California right now is claiming that we are in a drought is because we simply have failed miserably. We have spent about $400 million in San Joaquin Valley. We keep investing money, but there is no way to hold people accountable. We keep sending money without actually building anything. We have invested, I don't know how many millions on the water system, but still there is nothing out there to actually count for it. Yeah. So, yes, what are we going to do? One, we need to recycle, we need to filter water, we need to reuse water, we need to create reservoirs, we need to rebuild an aquifer, especially in San Joaquin Valley. We need to create basins where we need it. So, why has the government not done it? Corruption. It is simple. I think it's simple corruption and lack of accountability. But the problem in California, it really is not water. We get 200 million acre-feet of water, and we only are able to collect 45. That's less than 25%. So, no, we don't have a drought. We have a problem with our infrastructure.
Well, why we don't do it is because it's a math equation. It's a business math equation. It's simple. It's supply and demand. If you can artificially lower supply to at or below the demand level, you get to charge more. So they're screwing all of us. They're going to squeeze us. They don't want us to have small independent farmers. They want everything to be a big, massive conglomerate where they can control every aspect. Consolidate the ownership groups and leave every one of you out of that. That's why they don't do it. We can do it. We have to be able to show a real positive return on how we can get it done. I can go to the federal government with a proper business plan that spells it out. Look, we can make these investments here, utilizing the rain that we get, utilizing the snowpack that we get, building these reservoirs at the high altitude to capture the snowpack, building the dams to generate hydroelectric and create water storage, utilizing desalinization, which we have. But it's things like the Coastal Commission that blocks us. It's things like CEQA that block this. There's Sacramento River smelt that they can't find in the wild anymore. It's this environmental nonsense that they use as a tool to keep us down, and they do it to break us financially. But we can generate the water. We have the ability to do it. We have all these concreted rivers here in the metropolitan areas. Dam them up, build purification plants, build more reservoirs, and we can use massive public works force to do it, and it's tied to my homeless home program. Can't wait to tell you about it.
As a federal employee, I worked in a Bureau of Reclamation. That is now called the Department of the Interior after it's been dozed. What do those people do? They manage water in California. But who are they? They're the federal agencies. And we might not understand or know this, but the federal agencies control about 40% of all the water that moves in and out of California. One of the first things I would have to do is I would have to get with the federal agencies and ask them and tell them what we need. I need to know what their requirements are. And then we're going to have that deal secured for the state of California. After that, we're going to start going to the state agencies and letting them know. Farmers need water, they're going to get it. Cities need water, they're going to have it. We're not going to have these every 3 months. Oh, we have a drought. Oh, by the way, if you water your lawn, I get to fine you $100, or I get to fine you $50, whatever it is. We need to start changing how we view water. We have an SB that was passed over 10 years ago, SB 1, I believe. Where's that dam? Where's that water facility to store all that stuff that hasn't been built? My concept is, if you want to pass a bond, you, the citizens, want to pass a bond that you want to have storage built, then we need to build that storage. But SB1 is an entire failure. It's been over 10 years. If you're not going to do anything with it, but you've already taxed us to hell and back for it, and you still haven't built it, that money needs to come back to the citizens, and let's draw all over again and get it done the right way. That's what I want to move forward. If we're going to have water storage, get it, fund it, and build it, but stop making excuses of why you haven't.
Water is obviously very important. It is the liquid of life. We don't have that much of a water problem. We just have it obviously going out into the ocean. We need to divert a lot of that water right into the San Joaquin Valley. We need to get those farmers. We need to get them farming again. And when they're doing it, they need to do soak irrigation, not spray it in the air. So we'll go down and it will recharge the aquifers. That's how it's supposed to be done. But a lot of the regulations need to go. There is money. You're right. There is money that was already apportioned for new reservoirs. None have been done. This reservoir that was above the Palisades, totally empty. Every one of those reservoirs needs to be filled. We need to capture every melting snowflake and every drop that we possibly can and put it into some sort of reservoir. The manpower for that reservoir, we don't want to increase the public works because we're already talking about their retirement plan. We could use some of those prisoners digging those holes. That is something that we can do as part of a plan to kind of bring this down, bring us all back into a semblance of sanity. That is what I would recommend doing. But water, we need to kind of use it more wisely because it is a valuable resource, and there's no drought. It's just we're wasting it.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, I know this, but we've passed bills to build 4 dams, but not one budget, 1 cent has been given to those projects. The problem is ideological. If we would just dredge the delta, we would have enough water for all the county of Fresno County alone. Here's the problem though. There's a smelt fish that's being endangered and everything's being held up and the water's running off into the Pacific Ocean instead of going to our good farmland. It is ideological, it's a spiritual battle. We have a desalinization plant right in Huntington Beach that is in litigation, lawsuits. Once again, we are faced with people who are so progressively left. We are in a Marxist, atheistic ideology that we're battling, and we will have to take care of that through smart policy, but also through prayer, fasting, and repentance, based on 2 Chronicles 7:14 of my people. I'm talking about the church here. Those who are believers will humble themselves in prayer, sing my faith, and turn from their wicked ways. I'll hear from heaven, forgive their sins, and here's what the Bible promises. I will heal the land. Right now, our land, our water is not healed. We need healing. We need God's mercy. We need to bring the stronghold, the demonic strongholds that's in Sacramento. And again, as a pastor, revivalist, as someone with common sense, I'm going to bring water back to California. We need it for 40 million. We only have for 20 million.
A few weeks ago, we had 9 feet of snow in the Sierras. We just had a few hot days, unusually hot days. It's all gone. It's gone. We were headed to have one of the best snowpacks in years, and it's melted and gone and been sent out to the ocean. That is a crime that we've allowed that to happen. It's not we, it's the Democrats. The reason this has happened is ideological extremism, environmental extremism. All this storage that should have been built, it's been held up in environmental review. A few months ago, I was up in Colusa County, standing where I should have been 100 feet underwater, where the site's reservoir should have been built decades ago. We need to get that project done. Raising Shasta Dam, that's another project that should have been done years ago that would enable us to have huge amounts of extra storage without much engineering impact. There are so many things we could do. I've been traveling the state for 3 years. My policy organization, Golden Together, we have a report called Water Abundance. We can have abundant water in California if we build the storage that we need, we get rid of the blockages to the common sense plans like desalination, and we need to work with the federal government and make sure we have good people in the state government. Yesterday, I was in Fresno, standing in front of the Friant Dam, making an announcement. My first cabinet nomination, Natural Resources Secretary, a farmer, an expert in water, John Quati, who will be there leading the work to give us what is our right here in California, abundant water for our farmers, our cities, our towns, and all the new growth that we need.
So we're now going to take a 10-minute break.